It's a sunny, hot day in southern Florida at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Time to set the field for the NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Later this afternoon, the Ford 300. Over 50 cars are going to try to make this afternoon's race, and they'll have to do so by virtue of qualifying time trials here at the mile-and-a-half Homestead-Miami Speedway. Hi, everybody. Steve Burns with Larry McReynolds and Jeff Hammond. And guys, the big story, the big headline, of course, Kyle Busch will clinch the championship by starting. And what an amazing season he's had in all three of NASCAR series, but specifically here in the Nationwide Series, set a record for laps led, consecutive races led. In addition to 8 wins, 11 second-place finishes. So a spectacular season on all accounts for Kyle Busch. And again, he will clinch the championship when he starts this race later this afternoon.
Well, but I think the big story before we get to that race is this qualifying session. The biggest field of cars we've had in 2009, 52 cars, 22 go-or-go homers. No matter what, 9 cars will not make this show. We only come here once a year, and this track changes so much. As Steve mentioned, one of the hottest weekends we've had in a while. The track has no grip. We saw cars in the first practice yesterday spin out. We saw cars even in the night practice last night, like Carl Edwards, his second lap on the racetrack in final practice, and he's one of the best in the business, and he spun out. This track has no grip, and I think the story's going to be those 22 go-or-go homers that will qualify at the end of the session in the absolute heat in the day. I think this could be one of the most exciting knockout qualifying sessions we see. You don't want to miss the last race of the year and have to load up and go home early.
Well, Jeff, Kyle Busch is hot, the sun is hot, and there's even more heat.
And I'm hot.
And I'm hot.
There's always a lot of heat when it comes to this racetrack, and Larry's talking about the track. A lot of these drivers are starting to compare it to Darlington because it is wore out. It doesn't have the grip. A lot of them are rim riding around this racetrack trying to make the most of it. But you mentioned the end of the year and how important it is to finish on a high note. You got to understand, 2009 ain't been all bad. Even though Kyle Busch has dominated, we've had 12 different winners as far as that's concerned, 19 different pole winners. So could it be 20 today? I mean, somebody going out early, they can wind up taking advantage of what's going on with this track right now. I know we're already starting to sweat up here, and there's one of the guys who would like to maybe kind of end on a high note. There's Matt Kenseth, who won the Daytona 500, the last race. It was kind of big race run here in Florida.
Well, stay with us. Time trials up next here at Homestead. Speed's presentation of NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying from Homestead is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance, the official auto insurance provider of NASCAR. First car getting set to roll should be Carl Edwards.
Steve, you know what you almost would call this? Final qualifying for the Nationwide Series? Almost like the Bell Lap, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. 35th and final race of 2009, and that is actually Stephen Wallace first out.
I need to make sure I explain myself. When you're doing the bicycle races, the Bell Lap is the final lap.
They ring the bell.
They ring the bell when you come by on the final lap. They don't normally wave a white flag like we do, but they ring the bell.
You know, there's a college out in Texas when the team scores a touchdown. There's a guy that rings the bell. Texas Tech.
Yeah.
You don't do that at Alabama?
No. There's not a bell that could take that kind of abuse.
Boy, he's getting cocky, isn't he?
I'm telling you right now.
Oh, boy. Steve Wallace, top 10 in points. He's 7th coming into the final race of the season. Finished 10th last week at Phoenix.
We're being told that the 60 car, Carl Edwards, Mike Kelly and that group, they're on the 5-minute clock. So they were not excused, so they have to get that car to the line. Talked to this group this morning, and I think we mentioned it yesterday, but just to make it official that Rusty Wallace Incorporated will be making the move to Toyota for 2010 with Stephen Wallace, and with high hopes that they can get all the sponsorship in place to keep that second car with Brendan Gaughan.
You know, you guys know this more than anybody. You want to be going in the right direction in this sport. 1 year ago, Stephen Wallace came here 14th in points. I know this season hasn't been what he wanted, but you know what? It's progress. He's 7th.
But he's a Wallace, and he wants to win. I think that's probably the only thing right now. As we take a look right there on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the 60 cars right in behind pit road going through one of the final parts of the inspection before he rolls out, but he still is on the 5-minute clock. If he's not on pit road when that 5-minute expires, he will not be allowed to qualify. Currently, Stephen Wallace is the fastest guy out there, and he slowed down a little bit, which doesn't surprise us.
I think we're going to see that a lot during this practice session.
And joining us this morning, Wendy Venturini.
Well, good Saturday morning to you, gentlemen, and all the speed fans at home. We saw Stephen Wallace go out. Kenny Wallace is about to go out. Mike Wallace patiently waiting for your car to make the grid. But I don't think this is your biggest concern, because your big concern is your daughter's big wedding coming up this week. Your first daughter wedding.
Well, Wendy, thank you very much. It is. Next Saturday, my daughter Lindsay and Thomas Van Wingerden are getting married in the Charlotte area. So what a trying experience. I know your dad and mom and dad knew what that was about when you got married, and Lindsay lives at home with us, so it's a little emotional at the moment, but you know, we're here at Homestead right now, and new tone heating and cooling products are on our car. We appreciate that, but hey, everybody wish the world good for my daughter Lindsay and Thomas. I appreciate it.
All right, Mike, good luck in qualifying today, and I know he's waiting for his car to get on the grid, and definitely looking forward to Lindsay's wedding next Saturday. It's always a big deal when daughter gets walked down the aisle by her father.
Well, I know who to ask if I need houseplants. The Van Wingerdens own one of the biggest nurseries I have ever seen.
Right there in Huntersville, North Carolina. Yeah, Thomas Van Wingerden, a lot of success running the Legends cars there at Lowe's Motor Speedway. This is Ryan Newman driving for Kevin Harvick Incorporated. Double congratulations to Kevin Harvick Incorporated. Kevin Harvick won his second consecutive NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race last night here under the lights. And even though it was really official a week ago at Phoenix, but congratulations to Ron Hornaday, Rick Wren, and that entire number 33 truck team for getting their second out of the last 3 years NASCAR Camping World Truck Series championships.
Well, Larry, right quick, yeah, congratulations to Ronnie and everybody at KHI. Newman's on the pole right now. First lap the fastest, and just about backs up what he did. He was second quickest right now as far as what he did in practice. And Bob, I think you caught up with a guy that was on the pole.
That's right. For just a short bit of time, he's looking at the monitor to see what Ryan Newman actually ran on the racetrack. But 32.5 for you, Steven. It was up and down yesterday, better in the final practice. But are you satisfied with that time?
Not at all. You know, our U.S. Fidelis Chevrolet is not, hasn't been real good, at all this weekend off the truck. We've just really struggled with it being loose into turn 3 and, loose off the corner too. So we just haven't really made a lot of headway on it. This last race of the year, I just want to thank all my sponsors, U.S. Fidelis, Fiber Energy, for sticking with us. It's been a great partnership with those guys, and can't wait to next year. But hopefully we can, get a good run out of this car and, this car for tonight. That'd be good.
Stephen Wallace still battling for a top 10 spot in the standings. He doesn't know where he's going to shake out yet, guys.
Bob, we are surrounded by Wallace, as we heard from Mike and Stephen. And now Kenny Wallace is on the clock. You see the 60 car, he has less than 2 minutes, we're told, from NASCAR control to make his qualifying attempt.
Well, I think he's going to be okay now, because he presents that car and they can get Carl down into it pretty quick. I think they're going to be okay. But you talk about Kenny Wallace. Kenny said, man, he said, I'm really struggling here this weekend. He said, my old car ain't driving all that bad. But he said, to get the grip I need, I got to give up some speed down the straightaway and through part of these corners and get her hooked up. And he said, man, Hammond, he said, I'm driving this thing for everything she's worth right now. He said, I drive her in kind of low and let her slide up off the exit of the corner. Saw him this morning at the Darrell Gwynn Fishing Tournament, and he was all pumped up and ready to go for this final race.
Catch anything?
Yeah, we had a good time out there. The group I was with, we caught our limit, which is 3, and we were second in the tournament when I left. They'd weighed in about maybe half the teams. But I think Clint Boyer wound up winning it. I mean, he had a big one in the bag, I'm telling you.
Now, Kenny becomes the first driver to pick up on lap 2. Not a lot, but he is third out of the 3 cars. Comes in here 11th in the points, not far out of that top 10.
We'll hustle to break and come back and see what happens with Carl Edwards. Brendan Gaughan, the 4th driver to take time here at Homestead-Miami Speedway in NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying 32.38, quickest of 2 laps. His first lap, second of 4 drivers.
That's a good pickup for Brendan right there. Just a little bit like what Steven was talking about. He was not happy with his car. He's got to be happy. His car picked up almost 0.4 of a second. So maybe this track is not as bad as we thought it was going to be, Larry. There is some speed to be found there.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan Newman, the fastest of 4 Chevrolets that have gone this far. Bob Dillner's down there with Ryan.
Newman certainly found the speed, a 14. Do you think this track is quicker than you thought it was going to be this morning?
Didn't really know what to expect. Usually the track is quick when it sits for a while, and you know, there's a lot of ambient heat obviously with the sun and the radiant heat as well, but didn't know what to expect with last night, because I don't think the track really got a chance to cool off a whole lot last night, even though the air cooled off. Always something running on it, and I think it's been sitting for a little while, at least since last night, obviously. And I really didn't know what to expect with the Copart Chevrolet, so just thank Kevin and Delana for the opportunity, and Raymond Hungry Man, obviously, for helping us out this year.
Oh, trouble off of 4.
Bob, that's Eric Darnell, who went around, and we talked about it right in the open of the show. This and Ryan Newman just confirmed it. This is a fast, slick racetrack right now.
Well, I think this is the first of several that will come during this qualifying session. You know, Eric Darnell, hadn't even completed a lap, and certainly these guys are going to have to go to a backup car. You could see up there, not quite against the wall.
We saw you heading that way.
But the car just got loose on him. This place just has no grip.
Yeah, 10-4.
And then your cars are running on the loose side qualifying anyhow.
Looser than it was last night.
Pretty similar to what happened to Juan Pablo Montoya here yesterday. Same spot.
I got back to the gas pretty early, and it was good. And it just kind of snapped around on me. 10-4. The same thing happened to me last night.
And there's such a fine line with these Nationwide Series cars. I talked to a lot of crew chiefs, a lot of drivers this morning. The grip is there on the first lap, but because of the tapered spacer with a fairly high gear, a 380 gear, you have got to come out of the pits almost like your hair's on fire, because you've got to try to get it up to speed come to take the green. It's almost like momentum-wise, your second lap would be quicker from a speed standpoint, but because of the grip in the corners, it's going to be the first lap. We've only seen the one car pick up on the second lap.
Let's take a look at our Copart track description. When it opened back in 1995, it was flat, but it's undergone several reconfigurations, and now progressive banking from 18 to 20, and it's a 1.5 miles.
And that happened, the final transition was 2003, I believe. And everybody will tell you, this has now become a place that they look forward to coming to. Before that, it was always like, oh, no, we got to go to Homestead because it was a follow the leader, very tricky. More tricky than what it is right now. This racetrack is still treacherous. We've seen that. We kind of likened it to Darlington as far as the grip and where you need to race. And I think, again, it's got character, and it's going to take somebody with a little bit of finesse to get it hooked up like it needs to be.
Wendy.
Thanks, Steve. I'm with Denny Hamlin, who's patiently waiting to get into his God Speaks Toyota here. Denny, you said this morning what a beautiful day in Homestead, but it's a little slick out there, as we just saw.
Yeah, it's a great lap by Newman to be able to do that. He ran the same speed as what we ran in final practice at nighttime. So not so much anxious to get in, but trying to wait as long as I can because it's kind of warm inside these cars, especially today.
It sure is. Now let's head over to Bob Dillner.
Well, NASCAR officials analyzing Eric Darnell's car here in the garage area. He was able to drive it in, but the back end of that car pretty crunched up. Eric Darnell with us right now. I would imagine a lot less grip than you expected coming off of 4, Eric?
Yeah, a little bit. It actually felt pretty good in 1 and 2, and I got back to the throttle early in 4. I felt like I had a really good lap going, and back end just kind of stepped out from underneath it. Really unfortunate. All the guys in this Northern Tool and Equipment team did a really good job this week, and I felt like I had a really good car, and I just kind of screwed that up for them. I'm sure the backup would be pretty decent too, but it can be frustrating not having any laps on it going to race.
Very disappointing for Eric Darnell. He was 8th quick last night, guys.
And, I talked to Mike Bliss this morning, and he said of all the racetracks we go to, and we only come here once a year, he said he does not know of a track that changes so much from one year to the next. But, I mean, this track sits here and just lays in this hot Florida sun almost 12 months out of the year, and it just deteriorates it and takes grip away.
No, it does. It takes all the life out of it. People don't, I think, totally understand what it's like for a racetrack to sit here, especially here in Florida, and absorb this type of heat, intense heat, for the entire year. And then we come back here even like in November, expecting to be a little bit cooler and maybe working in your favor, and all of a sudden we have one of these weekends that really feels more like a June, almost a June or July type day. It's hot out here today, and these guys are really, I'm sure, feel like they're skating on ice.
Not as much cloud cover as well. The sun very bright, very intense, shining right now on Mike Wallace in the 01 car. And Mike announced that he's going to be back with his team in 2010.
Yeah, including here, he's run the last 11 races in this 01 car and seems pretty excited about, knowing what he's going to do. And there you see the backup car, Eric Darnell. I'm sure they'll have to swap a lot of parts and pieces. Dan Stillman now looking after this car. So there'll be a lot of work to do. You can actually see some of the other Roush Fenway team members over there trying to help them.
And just to be clear, Darnell is locked into the show. The top 30 drivers have guaranteed spots. And also, Carl Edwards will be going out shortly. So everything looks to be okay with the 60 car.
Mike Wallace qualifies 4th, right between nephew Steve Wallace and brother Kenny Wallace.
It's Newman, Gone, Wallace, and Darnell.
Wallace, and Wallace. Sounds like a law firm.
That's right. Now, speak of the devil, there's Carl Edwards.
Yeah.
Wendy reported during commercial break, I believe some of the fender braces weren't where they should have been after the wreck last night.
Well, and we saw that at the top of the show on lap 2 of final practice where he got loose coming off turn 2. But Mike Kelly and that group, they got this car back out on the racetrack. He ran a fair amount of laps in that final practice, and he was the fastest. He was second quickest in first practice, didn't run that many laps, but quickest in final.
2 things right now with Carl Edwards on the racetrack now, guys. You got to believe that last minute, run that car up through there and hurry him through maybe his normal free qualifying procedures could have a negative effect, as well as knowing that that 6 car, his teammate, has just gotten into the outside safety barrier. How will it affect Carl on his lap? Well, not as much as I thought it was going to be. He is the quickest so far.
But where he beat Ryan Newman was it looks like he picked the throttle up good off 4 and stayed in it.
Good job.
He'll pretty much be one and done. But
good work, guys. Great work. Real good job.
The tracker didn't jump from second to first until he was well up on the straightaway. This is what Jeff was talking about a while ago, where these guys are running so high, right against the wall.
He actually
almost too close.
I think he just touched that wall ever so lightly.
Wendy.
All right, Jeff Burton, watching Carl Edwards' lap, were you able to learn anything there?
I don't know. This place is so different. I mean, you really don't know where you're going to run, and he ran the top, but I'm thinking I'm going to run a little lower than that. He was fast there. That 10 speed to do that, but our car seemed like it was better toward the bottom, so that's where I'm going to go.
All right, Jeff Burton's going to be a bottom feeder, and you see that hose connected into his chest. It's a very, very hot day, especially in these race cars, guys.
Well, Wendy, I just want to follow up on something that Jeff and Larry have talked about for the past month as Scott Speed heads out, and that is the championship-esque seasons that Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski have had. Listen, Carl Edwards, 6 poles, 5 wins, 22 top 5 finishes, 29 top 10s, but you know what? Kyle Busch just a little bit better.
Well, the one thing that Kyle Busch did probably better than the 60 team as Scott Speed on his first lap is 32-33 third, and Brad Keselowski is the races, you saw it on the graphic, that he led and the races that he led the most laps. That's a ton of points when you talk about leading a lap in 31 races.
Bonus points, but also when he couldn't win, where'd he finish? Second. So, when you're being consistent to that degree, being first and second, I mean, that kind of consistency, Larry, like you say, adds to those points that you're already talking about. And that's what makes you frustrated because, again, how do you beat a guy finishing first or second and leading laps?
Well, 31 races that he led a lap in, that's 155 points. That doesn't even include the races he led the most laps.
Likewise, in the chase, I looked yesterday, Jimmy Johnson has scored 50 more bonus points than any other driver.
It's out there for anybody to take if you want it.
Hey, Rat.
Don't panic, Bob. Don't panic.
I'm scared of rats, actually, and I'm glad that Carl Edwards actually has the Ortho sponsorship on there to get rid of them. But let's talk about that because was it worth the wait?
Yes, it's worth the wait. I was a little nervous. My guys worked real hard, got up there, and that's a pretty good lap, man. This is a fast race car. It's mouse and rat control. I don't know if it's I'm not so good at the car control yet here. I spun out once already, so I didn't want to get too aggressive there. It is pretty slick out there. I know Denny's out there right now. We'll see what he runs. It'll probably be a pretty good lap. Just wanted to get through to the race. Seeing what happened to Eric there, made me run a little bit more tentative of a lap.
Going through tech, was it damage from the incident yesterday, Carl?
I don't know. I didn't ask. I don't want to know. I don't have to think about that stuff. So these guys are good though. We're having fun.
I'll tell you what, guys, he did say it was very slippery out there.
It's like we said, Bob, he's on a need-to-know basis.
Well, One thing I want to point out right quick, and we heard Jeff Burton say something about this. Denny Hamlin elected to run more of a low to a middle of the racetrack line compared to what Carl Edwards did, which you saw his car was a little bit on the loose side. Not quite as quick on the first lap. He's still third quickest, but it looks to me like, you know, a little bit like what Carl's saying. Denny may decide, I think I'm going to safety it and keep it away from the wall.
Yeah, he was on a pole run until he got to turn 3 and 4 of that first lap. Right now, he's third quickest at a 32.24. This is a brand new race car that Paul Wolf and that group brought here for Denny.
Ford, Chevrolet, and Toyota. It's Edwards, Newman, and Hamlin through 9 drivers. We expect 52 to take time. Edwards' quick time 32.073, and that comes out to 168.366 miles per hour.
Now this is the car that Mike Bliss has driven a number of races over the last couple of months. They've had some really good runs. Speaking of Mike Bliss, as he goes out in the one car, the car he started the season in. But the thing about that 11 car, they've done everything but win a race this year. And the sad part is right now they know nothing about their future for 2010. But I will say this, that crew chief Paul Wolf, he'll probably be a hot commodity in that garage area.
Sounds like he already is.
Well, to me, I think that's what's so sad is that group over there, they put together a really good nucleus with him being the leader, and now they're going to lose that because they can't find somebody to step up and help them. And it's a shame. So if you're out there listening and you're looking for a solid team, and we see a little bobble right there with the one car of Mike Bliss, if you're looking for some place to spend your money, I think it'd be a great place to come back to. I think they're going to be a team to reckon with if they can just stay together another year.
Speaking of the 11 car, Mike Bliss with top 10 finishes in the last 4 races in that 11 car.
Larry, this race car is not in the racetrack at all.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be very happy with this qualifying run. The big thing with Mike, comes in here 5th in the points, trying to stay in the top 5 because he's done it driving several cars this year. Did get the win at Lowe's Motor Speedway back in May driving this one car.
Mike's first lap good enough for 8th.
I don't see if he changed his line just a little bit. It looked to me like he got off a little bit easier into 1 and tried to, coming through 2, he tried to pick the throttle back up a little quicker. Tracker's still looking pretty good so far. He's going to pick up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be the lap he was looking for.
It's going to possibly be, though.
He's losing back right there, right off the floor.
It's going to be about the same thing he ran. He actually slows down 5/100, so his lap is 32.65, good for 8th.
Coming up, we expect to see Jeff Burton, David Rudiman, Matt Kenseth, and Chase Miller.
But you know, we saw it last night in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series with Colin Brown and Johnny Sauter fighting for that top 5 in points, because the banquet is a combined banquet on Monday here in South Florida between the Camping World Truck Series and the Nationwide Series. And essentially, they will acknowledge all the drivers, but the guys that will be on stage will be the top 5 from each of those divisions.
Jeff Burton up next, driving for Richard Childress Racing. 9 top 10 finishes and 12 starts this year. 2 wins here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway in 6 starts.
He has shared this ride with Stephen Light, Clint Boyer, and then Casey Mears ended up driving it at Texas a couple of weeks ago after Jeff Burton had a pretty hard crash in the Cup car. And this is the same car that Casey drove to a 2nd place finish there at Texas.
Trying to play with that throttle off of both corners right now. Back wide open off of 4 right now. See if he can pick it up a little bit.
Just did not carry that speed off turn 4, which tells me he had to roll out of it or just couldn't nail it. Right now, 3rd quickest at a 32.16, right behind Ryan Newman.
Larry, out of 11 cars that have qualified, there's only been 3 that have picked up over what they practiced at yesterday. Jeff Burton's one of them.
And when you think about it, I think that just shows you how little bit of grip this racetrack has. And that's only going to get worse as this qualifying session goes on.
I agree. And I like the analogy that Ryan Newman gave to this racetrack. I never quite thought of it like that. Pretty warm day yesterday. A lot of heat in the racetrack. Stayed pretty warm all night long here in South Florida. Early this morning, sun already beating down on it, so that heat, it had already been put in the day before, kind of stays in that asphalt. So the racetrack itself pretty warm right at the beginning of practice. So not a lot of advantage at least having an early draw.
Let's go back to Bob.
Not exactly what Mike Bliss expected from this qualifying session, but Mike, where did you miss on the racetrack?
Just through the center, it was too loose to be able to get back to the gas. You had to wait, and I just too long in between off the gas and on the gas. It was a long time, and I just I didn't have enough grip there to turn the wheel and get on the gas. It's a lot slicker than it was yesterday.
Good thing is we're racing a lot later on tonight, and he had a pretty good car last night, guys.
He's going to need it too, Bob, because I think where he's going to start at is going to be pretty deep in the field, and he's got to race his way to the front.
David Rudiman's aboard that number 32 this week. He has 13 starts in 2009, 5 times a visitor to the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Rudiman, a native of Zephyr Hills, Florida.
You know, we've had 14 previous races here, and we've had 13 different pole winners. And of the previous pole winners that are attempting to qualify here, we actually only have 3 in the field trying to qualify: Joey Logano, Joe Nemechek, and Ryan Newman. Carl Edwards not one of those 13 pole sitters. Jeff Green actually the only driver to sit on more than one pole here at Homestead-Miami.
Rudiman down the backstretch.
He was 23rd in first practice yesterday. He was 12th quickest last night in that final practice.
Larry, I know you were kind of looking down at your notes, but 32, he went off down in that corner, and as he started turning in, that car just kind of took a double set, and he had to chase it up 2 lanes to get it off the turn 4.
And I think losing 0.6 of a second on lap 2 pretty much supports what you saw there.
Well, Mike Bliss was talking about his race car, and it didn't feel into the racetrack, no grip right through the center, and that's what we were talking about. Car looked almost like it was nervous, just like it was right there on the top, and every time he wanted to turn the wheel, the back end would want to kind of turn quicker than the front. So that's got to be a bad feeling at the kind of speeds they're carrying around this racetrack.
Kyle Busch looks on, and he'll clinch that championship later this afternoon here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And I want to remind you quickly that Sprint Cup practice follows this. We'll have that for you as well here on Speed.
You know what? You know, we always talk about Kyle and his intensity. But you know what, Steve? I do want to bet you he's not worried about that championship right now. The fact that he's won it, he's probably thinking about one more chance to win a race here today.
I would agree. Matt Kenseth, a former winner here, started 10 times here in the Nationwide Series.
Yeah, if Kyle Busch can either win here today or tomorrow in the Cup event, it will give him 20 wins in the top 3 series in 2009.
I wouldn't say that's a bad year, would you, Larry?
I'd say that's a pretty solid year. My man over here in the corner is working on how many wins he has total in all 3 series in his career, and it would be 61 career wins as we sit right now in trucks, Nationwide, and Cup.
That's a career in itself right there.
And his career is not that old yet.
It's not.
He's only 24 years old.
Pretty good lap by Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards' teammate. First lap, 5th quickest for Matt.
You like to do a lot of math, projecting things. Could you project 10 years down the road if he's still around at 34 at what he's done in his early career, if it keeps on the same kind of pace?
Scary.
32-34 on the second. Your first one was the best. The 32-27 puts you P5. Nice
you know, Steve, I like calculating with numbers. That's the reason I can tell you it's only 85 days until the 2010 Daytona 500. That's 2,040 hours.
Oh, and Matt Kenseth wound up 5th.
Celebrate championship weekend with a special Saturday night edition of the Ultimate Racing Car to get revved up for the last race of the season. NASCAR Trackside Live tonight, 7:30. NASCAR President Mike Helton will be there.
Hey, man, there we go. Our scuba divers are back.
That's Gus Sims and Steve Green.
And he did shoot this down in, I think, Key Biscayne or somewhere.
I'll tell you exactly where he shot it at. He shot it at Elbow Reef down in Key Largo. Anyway, we're going to see some pictures of the wreck ship next to Washington. And it was Gus Sims, Steve Green, and Todd Reynolds. Those guys came down a little bit early, did a little bit of recreational diving. Thought it'd be something kind of cool to send us off the air here this year in Speed, because there's a lot of beautiful places to go, not only lay on the beach, but do some diving or snorkeling.
Very cool shots.
It really is.
Joe Nemechek's a 3-time winner here at Homestead in this series. first lap, 13th of 15 drivers. Hey, by the way, Larry, what are we going to do next Friday and Saturday? Can Jeff and I just come to your house and like put in a tape of an old race or qualifying and hang out?
I think that's what we should do. I really do.
You guys want to come hang out with me? I'm going to be in South Texas next week.
I'm going to Larry's house because it's now 123,839 minutes until the Daytona 500.
Doesn't sound like a lot, does it?
No. I'm going to be sad.
Both of you guys are worrying me.
We've been hanging out together quite a bit.
You count down, now you're counting up. Or you're counting down to get it back going
Once
again.
I turn 50, I quit the counting down.
Copy that. Joe Nemechek slows down a little over a tenth on his second lap.
I'm like Bobby Bowden. People say, when are you going to retire? It's like, wait a minute. When I retire, there's only one more big event left, and I'm not ready for it. Take a look at our weather here. 81 degrees, so-so humidity, just a slight breeze. But the big thing is the track temperature. I got to believe it's well over 100 degrees and climbing.
I was getting ready to say, I'm not too sure I buy that 81 degrees right now. It felt hotter than that when we came over from the speed stage.
With that little speed flag on that visor. Our thanks to all the fans at home who have been with us all year, and certainly the fans that come out to see us at the speed stage for Trackside and NASCAR Live. We appreciate your support.
You know, a group I want to thank before we get rushed later on in this show or our practice show, I think we take them for granted. You know, we're able to look down in these race cars and see drivers' hands and things of that nature, and it doesn't matter if it's 81 degrees or 21 degrees or raining or misting or snowing or sleeting. Our cameramen and camera women that brave the elements for 38 weeks and some, and they're here well before the sun comes up and well after the sun goes down. That's the group I want to give you an attaboy and a thank you to.
And everybody down in the truck. I even hate to mention one name, because if I mention one, I'll leave somebody out. But they all work incredibly hard. They're very creative. They're dynamic, and we have a sense of responsibility to help make the end product what they give us. So thank you to everybody in our speed crew.
Yeah, we're just an extension of what these men and women right now put back on the screen. So we really do appreciate it. And hey, one other shout out. Don't want to forget Lloyd the caterer.
Lloyd's the man.
He's the man.
Is it Lloyd or Floyd?
There's a gator hat there.
Gators.
Eric McClure has just finished his qualifying attempt. He is 13th overall. Ken Butler, the third, is 12th. Next out on the racetrack, you see Justin Allgaier. We'll check in with Wendy.
Joey Logano in the race car getting ready for his qualifying lap practice yesterday. Were you able to get the car more comfortable all around on the different lines you were trying out?
Yeah, I think we were. I think, we worked pretty hard at first practice just trying to get the thing secure in the corner. And then second practice, we worked on trying to get the thing turning after that. So overall, I thought the GameStop Toyota was pretty good. I was pretty excited about it. We might not have been the fastest car out there, but we got the balance pretty close. So I'm excited. I got a cool paint scheme out here. I'm Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. So got a new paint scheme, and hopefully we bring one more W for the end of the season.
Good luck to Joey Logano. And that paint scheme, guys, I know some of you with children would be good stat here. This game came out $550 million in 5 days is what they sold. That's the biggest entertainment launch ever, beating out Harry Potter. Harry Potter was like in the $200 million range. Can you believe that? The gaming industry.
Did you say 500 million?
550 million in 5 days is what they told me. Crazy, isn't it?
Almost the same kind of money you make, Larry.
You got me mixed up with our buddy from Franklin.
Justin Allgaier, the only Dodge to qualify thus far. He is 12th overall. Hey, by the way, Logano talked about adding another W. Take a look at his car. If he did so, it'd be his 6th win of 2009. And speaking of winners, Kyle Busch is next out onto the racetrack, the 19th driver to take time.
I know we've talked about Kyle Busch, just like we've talked about Jimmy Johnson, just like we've talked about Ron Hornaday. But as Jeff well attests to, this 18 team, Jason Ratcliffe and that whole group at Joe Gibbs Racing, What a phenomenal job they have done. I'm really happy for Jason Ratcliffe. He was up there at Bruco Motorsports for a number of years, and now he's on the brink of winning his first Nationwide Series championship as a crew chief. But happy for that whole group. That whole group, along with Kyle Busch driving, that's what's won this championship. It's like I said, A-Rod had a great World Series, but the New York Yankees won the World Series.
Well, Kyle Busch, 4th overall, and Russell Wenrick and Jimmy Kyle Hicks, Bill Sloboda among those who help us with statistics. They came up with a great number. By the way, we want to thank them as well for all their help. But a great number yesterday. Long story short, Kyle Busch will have raced 24,000 miles by the end of this weekend, this season, which is the same distance as the circumference of the Earth at the equator.
I tell you what, if he keeps going long enough, we'll probably one day be able to say he's led enough miles and laps to go around the distance of the Earth at the equator.
Bob Dillner.
Justin Allgaier has been struggling all weekend long, both practices yesterday. So how was that qualifying run compared to what it was yesterday?
Well, actually, the car was a lot better. It just didn't show the time that we wanted to see, really. But Verizon Wireless guys have been working really hard, and it's just unfortunate. You know, this is the last zone we wanted to come out and do really well, and we felt like we hit on some stuff at the end of practice last night, but a lot of that was up against the fence, you know, long runs. So we're just going to see what tonight gives us. Hopefully we get down into the nighttime pretty quickly, and we can make some right adjustments and good pit strategy, and we'll be okay.
13th quick so far for Justin Allgaier. Remember, he's battling to get back in the top 5 in points.
Bob Wiggle for Jason Leffler coming to get the start-finish line.
Steve, I've been looking at this car all week long, and it just, you know, trying to pay attention to it. You see Comcast and great clips on it. Well, if you look, you got great clips on the driver's side of the car. But if you look on the outside, the right side of the car, it's got Comcast. It's got opposite sides, have different names of sponsors.
That's one way of getting both primary sponsorships.
Got them covered right there. You take a look
both
right
on
there.
the hood.
There you go.
Jason slows down 4/10 on his second lap. And speaking of Russell Wenrick and Jimmy Kyle Hicks, they've already started doing marketing campaigns. They're going to be on NASCAR Smarts. They're talking to agents. They're talking to Michael Waltrip Racing about a sponsorship.
They just went down that bad road like a lot of other folks, hadn't they?
It's all about the money. Ching. When you dream, do you dream in speed? Introducing the Speed Dream Ride. You'll see new shows, old favorites, and have the chance to win an experience you never dreamed possible. The Speed Dream Ride coming soon. Presented by Castrol Edge. Find out more at speeddreamride.com. 21 drivers have qualified. Kenny Hendrick in the 61, 20th out of 21. The quickest, still Carl Edwards at a 32.073. Let's go to Bob Dillner.
All right, Steve, Kyle Busch has made it through practice. He's made it through qualifying. So for all intents and purposes, can I congratulate you on the championship yet?
I guess. I mean, even if I start the engine on pit road and it blows up right there, we still get 43rd place points. So
how'd it drive?
Drove really good. It, you know, drove like a Lexus, but, you know, I'm driving a Camry. That just shows you how good Camrys drive. You know, they drive like Lexuses. So you want to go pick one up, there's plenty of Toyota dealerships around. But no, I mean, our car was great. The Z-Line Camry was good. You know, the guys did a really nice job on it yesterday. We were working on it, trying to pick up some speed, because we don't just want to come in here and run this race. We want to win this race. So that's what we're looking to do here tonight, and we're looking forward to hopefully being able to have good pit stops all day, have a good solid run, stay out of trouble, and be there at the end to try to win this thing.
And Wendy, this is not Kyle Busch's last race weekend of the year. He's actually running the Snowball Derby the first weekend in December down in Pensacola, Florida.
And I don't know what kind of racing Brad Keselowski has on tap for the winter, but I know what he's about to do, get in this car and qualify for Nationwide. You were talking yesterday, a little bittersweet because of your last practice session. This is going to be your last of everything, last qualifying run. What do you hope to get out of that car in this slick racetrack?
Well, we sure didn't get a great draw, that's for sure. We've been really struggling on the draws lately on both the Cup and the Nationwide side, but hopefully we can just get a solid effort in with GoDaddy Chevrolet, get a good qualifying effort in, get into the race, and work our way forward. The track is just slowing down every car that goes out. So we'll just deal with it the best we can, get a good solid lap in, and work our way forward in the race.
All right, good luck to Brad Keselowski, 7th fastest in practice last night. Steve?
All right, thank you very much, Wendy.
You know, I hate to challenge Mr. Keselowski because I've been kind of keeping a running account of what's going on here with the racetrack. And the speed has not been that bad. Guys have been able to better their practice speeds since Joe Nemechek. I mean, Ken Butler, Eric McClure, Justin Allgaier, Kyle Busch, Jason Leffler. I mean, not Jason, but Kyle Busch. They all picked up what they practiced at. So I don't think that the racetrack is slowed down as much as you and I had even anticipated yet.
Well, I think what we normally see, though, Jeff, because so many guys stay in race trim, is we see a huge pickup normally in qualifying from practice. I think that's probably what they're more referencing.
Blake Cook in the 81 car. He's a developmental driver for Richard Childress Racing, 24 years old, from West Palm Beach, Florida.
You know what I call that? I think it's setting you up for the excuse just in case it doesn't run better.
That's probably some truth. But you know the one thing that I'm the proudest out of Bob Dillner's interview? Finally, someone acknowledged when we left Phoenix that Kyle Busch is the 2009 Nationwide Series champion. As I've said, the man was going to be here. The man was going to start this race, and I could get nobody or find nobody that would acknowledge the man was the champion when we left Phoenix.
We're not arguing with you.
We're not arguing with you, but Larry.
Oh, that's
Dumb and Dumber.
Guys.
Jimmy Kyle Hicks, Russell Wenrick on the left.
Yeah.
NASCAR Smarts.
Get them, boys.
later
Get them,
today.
boys.
Coverage of NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying from Homestead is brought to you by Wrangler, proud sponsor of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans. People going out to get their hook sweat in the infield here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Heyman was out there this morning. Is Brandon McReynolds running the Snowball Derby?
Right now, he is not.
No.
Right now, we are desperately working trying to move him to either the Camping World East Series next year or maybe even some ARCA events. Sponsorship pending.
Jason Keller right there finished his qualifying run. He winds up 16th quickest. Jason is going to wind up finishing up in the top 10 again. First time in about 3 years, but man, there for a while from 1999 to 2005, Steve, he had 7 consecutive top 10 finishes, including finishing second in the points race in 2000, again in 2002. So, veteran of this series right here, looking for a ride next year. Right now, things are not looking very good for Jason.
They're looking pretty good for Joey Logano on this qualifying run. I know he's going to be much slower on lap 2, but his first lap, he becomes the fastest Toyota at a 32.16, just in front of his 2 Cup teammates, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin.
So now it's Carl Edwards at a 32.07, followed by Ryan Newman, Jeff Burton, Joey Logano 4th overall, and his teammate Kyle Busch 5th.
Just got moved off before. 1 and 2 was decent. We started picking up the gas and started chasing it up the racetrack.
And I know they were.
Good job. That's 4th, 6 100ths out of 3rd. So.
I know they were fighting yesterday. He could get good at one end, but he couldn't get good at the other end. It sounds like he suffered a little bit of that in that qualifying run.
Let's go back to Bob.
Down here with Jason Keller, and he's in his last ride in the 27 machine. And the big thing, Jason, we want to know, you got anything planned for next year yet?
Well, I've been driving forklift at my dad's plant, so I guess if all else fails, I can do that. Just a lot of uncertainty with a lot of teams, but it's been great to represent Kleenex and all their brands. It's just, you know, it's not good, not just the uncertainty going into the off season, but I've done it before, and just stay positive, and hopefully somebody will need somebody that's got a lot of experience, and I'll be right there for them.
And Steve, this is one of the guys we really need back in the series, the all-time leader in starts in the Nationwide Series.
Well, and Bob, not just that, he's a 10-time winner in the NASCAR Nationwide Series and nearly won a championship a few years ago, was a great teammate to Jeff Green when PPC was in its heyday.
Pretty good first lap for Kevin Conway, 32.65. Talked to Kevin a little bit this morning. He's going to be one and done. Right now he's 15th, just in front of Justin Allgaier, but talked to him this morning, and he said, you know, his sponsorship looks like it's in good shape for 2010. I think they're just trying to work out where they want to be with it, where they want to go, if they're going to run the full schedule, still sorting through a lot of logistics about it.
Next up to qualify, starting to get through the order here pretty quick. Michael Annett, Scott Wimmer, Justin Marks, and Brad Keselowski. See Annett 10th in Nationwide Series points, and you know, I said yesterday that's a bit of a surprise because they don't have a ton of top 10 finishes, but they've been consistent, which I know it sounds cliche, but for a young driver like Annett, it's all about making laps, Jeff.
It is. I mean, that's, oh, hang on to her, hang on to her, hang on to her, hang on to her. Oh, good job right there. He was trying to come to the darn green here, but I don't know if he's hurting his tires enough. I think he needs to, well, let's see what he does here. Like, he can go ahead and take the green, start his second lap and try to complete it, but I don't think that was a good move.
Yeah, I got to believe these tires are flat spotted. This is not, you might get by with something like that at Martinsville or a short track, but I don't know about this fast mile-and-a-half racetrack that has no grip whatsoever.
You know, the smartest thing you can do right now is come on back to the garage area, start shotgun on the field, and make his way back up the best way he can.
And we're getting confirmation that that's exactly what he's feeling in that race car is flat-spotted tires, so he will start this race deep in the field.
But the car, what he did, Steve was looking at, as he went off into 3, it looked like about where he wanted to pick the throttle up, the car kind of like just took a set sideways, and all of a sudden he caught it back, and then she stepped out again on him when he went back to the throttle.
Again, this was coming through 3 and 4 to take the green.
So that's where his first set was. The car just kind of stepped out, boom, boom. And he did a good job of keeping it off the wall.
Very good job. The good news is he only needs 4 Goodyear tires.
Exactly. Doesn't go to a backup. See, it stepped out right there, and I think he thought he could catch it, and then it didn't. Never hooked.
Well, tomorrow here on Speed, the title's on the line. It's the final race of the year. Wendy Venturini sits down with championship contenders Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin, along with their team owner, Rick Hendrick. NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, live Sunday at 11:30 Eastern here on Speed. So 26 drivers have attempted to qualify. Take a look at our menu for tomorrow. Hey, look who's leading off.
We come
Top
right
of
out
the
of
order,
the gates.
baby.
Just cut her on right there and just leave it be.
Ford 400 over on ABC beginning at 2:30. Then see the champions interview, the winners interview, which could be the same interview.
Very well could be. He's going to start on the pole, the guy that's trying to win that 4th consecutive championship.
On NASCAR Victory Lane at 8, Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain at 9, and then Speed Report at 10 Eastern. See, I read the production notes, Larry Mack.
You do. You do.
You guys mentioned the fact of who you may be interviewing. Advantage right now, 48 cars starting on the pole tomorrow.
Well, that gives him a good shot at grabbing 5 points right out of the box. Because I do think the man sitting on the outside of the front row will be conservative. Scott Speed, who had a great qualifying run, who right now is qualified 8th for the Nationwide Series race so far. I think Scott will play it conservative because also starting right behind him in the 4th position is Mark Martin in the 5 car that's chasing that 48 car for this championship.
You guys talked about how many different winners we've had here at Homestead. I believe it's 11 different winners in 14 races. Well, that guy's one of them, Scott Wimmer.
He was on a roll back then. That was back in 2002. Booty Barker was his crew chief. They won several races. I think they were one of the first groups in the Nationwide Series that really started getting the front of the cars down on the ground. Booty told me a story last night as we were getting ready to take NASCAR Performance. He said they came in the garage area here, and because they had worked out getting the car down and it stayed down, when they came in the garage area, you know how we used to run the water hoses out of the cool-down machines across the garage? They hooked about 8 of them, was dragging the cool-down machines down through the garage area.
Hey, speaking of performance, how's our boy Chad? Is he nervous? Is he calm?
You know, he was pretty calm last night when we were taping the show. He really was. And I think his approach, right now, Scott Wimmer's 21st quickest with his first lap. He said, we're going to be just smart and conservative. You know, if we think we can win this race, we're going to win this race. But remember, all he has to do is finish 25th or better, regardless of what Mark Martin does. But I think the thing you will see him not do is try to stretch fuel mileage. And that race can come down to fuel mileage. I think every time that 48 car comes to pit road, you'll see 4 tires go on it. You won't see just 2 right side tires being changed.
Larry, Jeff and I were ready to give the championship to Kyle Busch last week.
I couldn't find a whole lot of folks that were, and it was driving me crazy. I just about threw my television out in the yard at the Wigwam.
We were on board with that.
Hey, uncoil a little bit.
'28-year-old Justin Marks will make his first Homestead-Miami Speedway start later today. He's 19th overall right now in his Toyota. Marks known for his road racing prowess.
Now, you were talking about Carl Edwards laying down championship numbers. How about this man right here, Brad Keselowski, in this 88 car? So far in 2009, 4 wins, 2 poles, 22 top 5 finishes, and 28 top 10s. I think the numbers, he's only had 2 finishes outside the top 10 since Texas back in the spring.
Larry, I gave you and Jeff both credit for saying Keselowski and the other driver. I gave you credit. I was listening. Didn't mean to cut you short.
I'm lost.
I hear you, Steve.
Thank you, Jeff.
I just can't wait till Parker Klingerman comes up, because I can say that name now.
You boys both said Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski had posted championship-esque seasons.
Okay, and I was just putting a period on it right there while the man was
Wrapped it up
qualifying
in a little
8th.
bow.
And he pretty much was 1 lap and done.
This is a well-oiled machine, isn't it?
Just in case you're interested, the 88 is now 8th as far as his qualifying
Got it.
effort.
I think that's what I just said.
You did. He wasn't listening.
Wow, you guys are having way too much fun up there. I just wanted to note that I was talking to this team yesterday for Junior Motorsports, and they're really sad to see Brad Keselowski go. They had a great year this year, but they were wishing he would stay 1 more year, because they think between Kyle Busch not running the full schedule, they really thought that they could have challenged Carl Edwards for that title next year.
I have to agree with him. I think it would have been a great challenge, but now guess what? Mr. Penske and that 22 car for Discount Tire next year that Brad Keselowski will be driving will have a shot at it.
I would say so, running both full schedules.
So our top 30 drivers have qualified, and Benny Gordon, 38 years old, Pennsylvania native, is the first of the drivers. What did we say, Larry? 22 of them, go or go home drivers.
And there's no championship provisionals involved.
No.
It will be the slowest 9 of those guys will not make this race.
Guess what? Gut check time for the final time in 2009.
How'd you like to face this racetrack, as hot as it is, as slick as it is?
Well, you know,
knowing you're not locked in.
The good thing about it, it's even and more or less fair for everybody. I mean, that's the cool thing about it, is NASCAR's done a great job of trying to make it fair for all these guys, so that somebody didn't go out number 1 on a really cool morning and you wound up going dead last at high noon. So I think it works out pretty good. And one of the guys I think has done really well here in this series so far this year is with Wendy.
Yeah, I'm with Terry Cook towards the end of the line here in nationwide qualifying. Terry getting suited up here. The track is really hot and really slick. Are you a little bit concerned about the track conditions?
Well, we are. You know, obviously we got to get in on time first and foremost, but seeing a lot of cars that are really loose, looks like there's not a lot of grip out there right now. So this hot Florida sun has been baking this track, and everybody's sliding. But we got Duke's Sweet Tea Vodka on board this weekend, and we're pretty excited about that. So hopefully we can comfortably get in the show and show them a good time this weekend.
All right, good luck to Terry Cook. It's awfully hot out here. You know what that's going to mean? A very slick racetrack for those Cup guys in a little bit, too.
You're right about that, Wendy. But you know what? I think a guy like Terry Cook, who's a veteran, he understands. Don't overdrive the corner. Get off the gas a little earlier and worry about getting it off the corner. You know, underpower is really going to pay off, and I think he'll wind up managing a racetrack like this better than some of the younger guys. Somebody like Eddie McDonald doesn't have a lot of experience here. Maybe thinks he needs to drive it in a little bit deep. Could get him in trouble.
You know, Terry Cook did not have a ride for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race last night. That's the first race he has missed in years in that series.
Eddie McDonald's first lap a little bit quicker than Benny Gordon's. He's 27th overall at a 33.37. And again, Carl Edwards, the pole sitter, at a 32.073.
I think if you can run in below 33.5 seconds, probably you're going to be okay. I think we'll have to see a few more of these go-homers go before we can really feel confident about that. But I would say 33.37 is probably going to be okay.
I think it's going to be safe. I think I'd like to be maybe just a little bit quicker than that. Feel little more confident about that. I think a 33.20 would be a pretty good bet of making the race today without any problem at all.
But I'm going to tell you what, he picked it up about 1/10 on lap 2 to 33.26. That could be just enough.
I think he's in. I think there's your cutoff number right there. I think he's in, no problem.
Coming up, Brian Keselowski, Danny O'Quinn, and Johnny Borneman. It's Brad Keselowski's older brother, Brian. Brian, 28th overall. 34.249, his quickest lap.
He's got old Brad Parrott over there helping him this weekend. Brad coming from John West Townley. They parted ways right before the Phoenix race.
Danny O'Quinn Jr.'s aboard that 07.
Danny has qualified for every race he's entered this year. There were 3 races back in the late summer he did not enter. Of course, he drove the 01 car for most of the year, and he's driven a couple of 2 or 3 cars here in the last part. Has a top 10 start this year, 7th at Daytona all the way back in February.
Way up next to that wall, Danny O'Quinn Jr. has 1 Homestead Series start.
Well, I think if you run in the 32s as he does with a 32.89, I believe I'd go ahead and shut her down.
I think somebody needs to let him know he needs to shut her down.
Safety up, right, Hammond?
I would. I wouldn't flirt with turn 4 more than one time I had to. I think he got lucky last time. I don't think going through there again would be a smart move.
Let's take a look at this right here. You can see him way high in turn 3 and 4. You can see the car going through the bumps.
He's going up, 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 oof, and that close.
But Danny O'Quinn Jr. knew that that's the best grip he was going to have, and if he rolls out of the throttle, he may not even run close to what he runs, so he should be in good shape, Wendy, with a 32.89.
He missed it by that much.
These guys down here are watching our monitors a lot of times to see what kind of times. Jeremy Clements has just gotten into his Nationwide car. Jeremy, you're watching the times and watching the track temp go up and up. What do you think and what do you hope to get out of your race car?
Well, yesterday we were really tight and we loosened it up and hit the wall coming out of 4, got it too loose, but just want to get a good solid lap in, not wreck the car. I know I can do it. Last year we qualified 18. We've had a lot of good qualifying runs this year, but just want to get a good lap in and make this race.
All right, good luck to Jeremy, a good friend of mine from the ARCA Remax series. And guys, track temp, I know Larry Mack, you want to know this, 104 degrees now.
Oh yeah,
and continuing to climb.
John Borneman III is a California native. He's 32 years old. 7 starts this season, hoping to make his first Homestead-Miami start.
Out of Ramona, California. Usually when these guys show up, they put forth a good effort. And right now, it looks like a pretty good effort right there, about 83 bunch. It's going to wind up being second quickest as far as the go-or-go homers are concerned, 25th overall.
He's qualified for the last 2 races at Texas 2 weeks ago and qualified at Phoenix last weekend.
25th overall, 33.117. So a lot of questions yet to be answered. Will Carl Edwards take the pole position? And
I think right now the best thing going for Carl Edwards is that big old orange sun up there in the sky. I think the hotter it does get, it's going to lose some grip, and some of the faster race cars are not going to be able to find the speed because of it.
It's great to have a big car count, but it means that a lot of transporters going to load up and head home this afternoon up 95. Carl Edwards still the quickest. Make your plans now for the 2010 Daytona 500 and purchase a specially priced Speed Trackside Tavern ticket package. You get a Daytona Super Stretch ticket and exclusive admission to the Speed Trackside Tavern. For more details, go to speedtv.com, keyword promo. Tim Andrews, a 26-year-old son of former Sprint Cup Series crew chief Paul Andrews, 18th overall. Good effort by Andrews.
Great effort right there, especially coming off the fact when he first went out in the first practice yesterday, he spun out.
Sure did.
Got a piece of the wall, but they made repairs to the race car, and he's bounced back and got himself a solid starting position. How about Terry Cook, man? Got that new sponsor on the car. 15th quickest on the first lap.
But you know, when you look at his last 2 weeks, he's qualified 13th for the last 2 races at Texas and Phoenix.
32.60 something.
Oh.
I believe that'll be good, buddy. Everybody else is slowing down to half a second on their second lap.
No, they're not, Phil. No, they're not. Go for it. That's Phil Parsons right there, the owner of that number 91 car.
Yeah, there's no question. Of course, that's not locked in, but 32.62, I think, will be one of the quicker of the go or go home guys.
Hey, as they'd like to say, you can get in my pocket on that right there, buddy.
Let's go to Wendy.
And Morgan Shepherd getting in his race car. I know, Morgan, you're ready to get out there on a slick racetrack, but more importantly, you have a pretty slick event coming up for charity in December.
I do. December the 14th, we go up to Stewart, Virginia, and end up over in Galax, and we're really looking forward to it. This will be the first time we've opened it to the public. We've got Kelly Pickler coming in to do a concert, and Mountain Creek Harmony. They'll do the gospel music, and we're just looking for a big old time up there.
All right, good luck to Morgan Shepherd and his charity event. You check this out, a huge picture of Kelly Pickler on the side of his Nationwide car. And if we move on one back to Todd Bodine, who hasn't climbed in his race car just yet. Todd, you too have some big plans this winter from what I understand, but I guess we should talk about a race car as well.
Yeah, we got some plans for New Year's Eve. Janet and myself are getting married down at Marco Island, Florida. So we got some nice plans, then a little honeymoon after that. But right now we got to get this Eddie Smith car in the field. We've been struggling all through practice, and guys Tim Weiss and John Fabian, two of my best friends, have been crew chief in this thing and working hard trying to figure it out. And we made it a lot better in the second practice. We just got to go out and get a solid lap and get it in the field.
All right, good luck to Todd Bodine. And on that wedding, hey, I'm the social planner here in the garage area, guys. Weddings, babies, charity events with Kelly Pickler, we got them covered.
Taking care of it all. Johnny Chapman, 19th overall.
So right now, the two cars that are somewhat team cars owned by Marcia Parsons and Randy Humphrey, they are the fastest of the go-or-go homers, Terry Cook and Johnny Chapman.
Larry Mack's off-season plans include eating orange slices.
Probably will.
Watching Alabama football.
All the way to Pasadena, baby.
Oh, look at little Peyton Manning action there. Great qualifying effort by Shelby Howard in the 70 car. He is 12th overall at a 32.458.
Only had 16 starts this year with his best start at Richmond earlier in the spring, but he definitely put himself in a great position. And here comes Paul Menard right in behind him in a 98 car, Steven. 13th quickest right now at a 32.46.
Yep. He was definitely one of the quickest of the go-or-go homers in both practices
Larry,
yesterday.
Look at the pointer. Whoa. He's not playing on his second lap.
And I'm going to tell you what, if you look at the tracker there,
it's going the right way.
I mean, that's 4/10 quicker right now.
He can get off of turn 4. Hold your hat.
No, I think we had some tracker issues there.
I think so too, yeah. But still,
he's 2/10 slower. That's still a great run, and that will lock Shelby Howard into the show.
We apologize, Carl Edwards, if you were watching this on television.
Sorry, Carl.
We didn't do that intentionally, but it had our attention.
Still a good lap that first lap.
It was. Good first lap.
He'll
but
be the next
he had a
car to
whale
get
of a second
in.
lap going.
Shelby Howard ran a 32.458. Paul Menard, 32.460. But as Larry said, the good news for Shelby Howard, he's locked into the show. He'll race this afternoon.
Well, I thought we had something going there, boys.
Following Paul Menard, Jeff, will see Jeremy Clements, be followed by Kevin Hamlin, Dennis Setzer, Morgan Shepherd, and Todd Bodine. By the way, Kelly Pickler now no longer has blonde hair.
What color is it?
Dark. Brunette. It's a new look.
It's just not blonde.
No.
Now, where the little green stripe there on the tracker, what that is, that represents Paul Menard in that 98 car. So as long as Jeremy stays to the right of that, we know that Paul Menard will get locked in, and at least on this lap here, that will not be quick enough to get up into the show. He's at 32.96. That puts him 26th quickest. There's still 3 go-or-go-home cars, though, that are behind him as far as speed and time.
Yeah, as Larry's saying, you see the yellow one. that there's where you don't want to be to the left, to the right of that one, but if you can be to the left of the green one, that just automatically means, hey, everything is great.
Actually, he's working on, he was working on getting a little quicker here on lap 2. And it's almost identical time, lap 1 to lap 2, so he's 26 quickest.
But that will lock Paul Menard in.
Coming up, Larry, look.
Kligerman. Parker Kligerman.
Love it. You practiced all night.
Yes, I did.
Kevin Hamlin in the 37 car is 26th overall. His time, however, does lock Terry Cook in the 91 into this afternoon's show. Again, Hamlin 26th overall.
Larry, you were talking a minute ago as we take a look at your favorite driver right now, Larry, and things may be a little bit tight right there as far as who's going to make this show now. That time's getting a little bit tough.
Yes, it is. I like when Eddie McDonald ran the 33.26. I thought that may be okay, but it's not looking promising now.
Wendy Vecchiarini standing by with Parker Kligerman.
And Parker, who is in the race car, taking the earplugs out so he can hear us. What do you think about going out so late in this qualifying run? Not the best situation for you.
No, as you can see, I'm probably sweating a lot right now. It's really hot, and that's not conducive to grip. So we'll see what we can do. We got to get in on time. Obviously, we're go homer, and we were successful last time. I don't think we'll quite match that, but we're going to go and try and put in a great lap to get in the show. And we're kind of put in a weird box because we want a good car for qualifying, but we race at night, so we're kind of in an odd situation right now where we have like a mix between the two setups, and so we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get in the show, though.
All right, I know you have a task at hand, but more importantly, I think you should take Larry McReynolds out to dinner this winter so he can practice your name.
He's still messing it up? Well, just let him know it's the big yellow Penske truck rental Dodge out there.
All right, thanks to Parker Kligerman. Not Klingerman, Larry. Kligerman.
Michael Waltrip said that you should call him PK.
When in doubt, leave it out.
Hey,
My man
you know what
Parker.
I think his problem is on that deal right there, right quick? You watch too much MASH when you're growing up, and you keep getting confused with Klinger.
Probably something of that nature.
He's not across.
All I know is he will mash the gas.
He'll mash the gas. This guy here mashed the gas.
Yes, he did. One of the nicest guys to ever strap into a race car. Dennis Setzer has locked himself into the show at a 32.669. So Shelby Howard, Paul Menard, Terry Cook, and Dennis Setzer locked in. So far, nobody has been bumped out.
These go homers, man. I'm telling you, they are digging deep in the bag.
Larry Mack said it.
He talked about it, how important it was in making this race, the final race of the year, and they're really making an all-out effort to make it special.
And Morgan missed the show at Phoenix last week. Morgan Shepherd, though, 261 career starts, 6 poles, 15 wins in the Nationwide Series, what used to be the Busch Series. Morgan actually was, well, he was the 14th quickest go-home car in final practice. His first lap, 33.17. That will send Benny Gordon to the house. And more than likely, this will end up locking Johnny Chapman into the show.
Yeah, Benny Gordon, the first driver, bumped out, unfortunately. Shepherd scheduled to be followed by Todd Bodine, Jennifer Jo Cobb, and Kelly Byers.
We really don't pull for anybody up here as broadcasters, but I guess knowing Morgan's situation that really struggles financially, I'd sure love to see Morgan Shepherd get into this show. He slows down on lap 2. I would say that's going to be very borderline, though, at a 33.17.
Thus far, Benny Gordon, the only driver bumped out. Carl Edwards, currently the pole sitter. Still a lot of questions to be answered here in Homestead. Todd Bodine in the 42, his first lap of 32.85, locks Tim Andrews into the field and knocks Brian Keselowski out. Bob Dillner.
Well, a great qualifying run, as Steve, you noted, and also the boys in the booth. Shelby Howard, 12th quick so far. But how tough is this go-or-go-home qualifying in the Nationwide Series?
It's really tough. We were really good in race trim yesterday and went to qualifying trim and it was pretty free. So we were concerned about qualifying today, but Chris and the guys done a great job, made a few adjustments to help get through qualifying here, and obviously it worked. So hopefully we're good today.
I'll tell you what, Steve, when a team like this with ML, when they qualify 12th, it's almost like getting a pole.
It absolutely is. That's a great effort, Bob. Next up, Jennifer Jo Cobb in the 84.
Steve, I was watching it. She had a really good turn 1 and 2. She's giving it all back off of turn 3, though. She was making it happen early on. Right now, it puts her 40th at a 33.48.
Yeah, she's going to have to step it up from that. Because I don't think that's going to get into this show.
See, she gets through 1 and 2 pretty decent right there, Larry. Gains some ground right through that part of the race course. Right now, she's moved up to 35th quickest. And she's got to get through turn 3 and off of turn 4 to make up some valuable time here.
You know, she may end up running a little quicker than she did.
Right
but
there.
just loses it late exit, just like the first lap. And she will not race later on today, but the good news is that Todd Bodine has been locked in along with Tim Andrews, Johnny Chapman, Dennis Setzer, Terry Cook, Paul Menard, and Shelby Howard, who we just talked to.
Coming up, we'll see Kelly Byers, John West Townley, Mark Green, Mark Day, Parker Kligerman, and Chase Austin.
Did you guys go over and have some ragu with him afterwards?
Negative.
You know, he told us if we wanted to. He had some stuff on the stove over there for us, and he was on trackside last night. Pleasant young man.
Yeah,
I
you
wish him
harassed
well.
you harassed the young man. You told him he had to bring it.
Well, look, I mean, it's just kind of like we need to break some of these young guys in, right, Steve? I mean, one of these days, they may have a deal with, you know, Rolex watches. I mean, would you not like to have a Rolex watch?
So it'd be a pretty good program.
You know?
Now, Kelly was in the top 20 solidly in both the practice sessions in this car with JR Motorsports. He will be moving to the 88 car with Tony Uri Sr. Tony Uri Jr. actually looking after this car here for him this weekend.
I look for him to lay down a pretty just solid lap and maybe try to go for a little bit more on the second lap.
6 different car he's driven in 2009.
I think he's going to be okay probably on this first lap. Yeah, he's in at a 32.76. Talked to Tony Uri Jr. this morning. Of course, they have Kelly full-time in the 88 car. They are looking for sponsorship, full sponsorship for this 5 car to put someone in. Contrary to a lot of talk, if they put the deal together with Danica Patrick, it would not be for this 5 car. That would be a 3rd car to run some select events.
Kelly's time knocks Eddie McDonald out of today's race.
You know, guys, I know we've had kind of a challenging year and a trying year as far as our economy, but when you think about it, 52 Nationwide Series cars here, that's the most we've had since Lowe's Motor Speedway in October. Over a year ago in 2008, we had 53 cars. Looks like to me the garage area is pretty strong.
Hope it carries over into 2010. Carl Edwards still the man to beat. Stay with us. Speed's presentation of NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying from Homestead is brought to you by Copart.com, an online auto auction where you control the price you want to pay. Go to Copart.com today. John West Townley in the 09 car picked up on his second lap. He ran a 32.798 as he goes to the garage. Well, good news for John West Townley, but sad news for our buddy Morgan Shepherd. Morgan bumped out of the field in the season finale.
And John West Townley, as we watch Mark Green start his qualifying run, will be moving to Richard Childress Racing for 2010. But yeah, Morgan Shepherd joins Eddie McDonald, Jennifer Jo Cobb, Brian Keselowski, and Benny Gordon as cars that we know will not race later on this afternoon.
And we are running out of participants here in our final qualifying session of 2009. Mark Green, 32.95 on lap 1. And that knocked John Borneman III out of the show.
Now, this team elected not to run that final practice last night. He was 31st quickest in the first practice yesterday afternoon.
Guys, do you realize all of a sudden when we talk about these go-or-go homers how much they've stepped it up? The next guy that's on the bubble to get in this race is the 0 car. That's being driven by Jeremy Clements. He's in the 32nd fastest position, and he stands to be knocked out of the race. I mean, that's how impressive these guys are today. Everybody brought their A game to make this race here, the final race here at Homestead.
Mark Green, his time locks Danny O'Quinn Jr. into the race. And as we said a moment ago, bumps John Borneman III out.
And puts himself on the bubble.
Yep.
At 30th.
Yeah, we have 3 go-or-go homers in the top 17. We have, I think it's 9 in the top 26.
Well, Mark Day's in the 0-5. I'm curious to see how this goes. For a time yesterday, he was in the top 10.
Yeah, he was the fastest go-or-go-home car in that practice last night. Now, he was 34th quickest in the first practice.
Carl Edwards still hanging on to that pole position. 32.07. Mark Day, 48 years old, from Clarksville, Tennessee.
Pretty impressive
Yes,
off the turn, too.
Yes, it is. If he can get through 3 and 4, we certainly know that's been the corner that's dealt a lot of cars fits. And I could almost see his entrance, but he stayed inner, so this lap's going to get him in the show, I believe. Good lap, 22nd quickest, 32.74. That will send Jeremy Clements to the house. Boys, I believe I'd call him in.
That MT on the hood for Middle Tennessee State University in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And producer Mark Smith being a complete jerk, reminding me that MTSU beat Maryland this year. Thought we were
yeah,
friends.
but when you pull for Syracuse, as he does, you have to find any dig you can, because
where's Dale Jarrett?
It's tough life of a Syracuse fan.
Just want to remind Dale Jarrett, North Carolina lost last night to Syracuse.
They're still defending national champions, thank you.
Big surprise here. Parker Kligerman, who sat on the pole at Kansas in his first Nationwide Series race, hit the wall not once, but twice. He will not make the show.
It all started coming to take the green right here off turn 4, and it just progressively went downhill from there. We thought he was going to recover, but you can see coming off turn 2, just a bad lap went worse.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, the car just really didn't have the grip. And on the second lap, we were watching it. It looked like he tried to change his line, come down a little bit lower, Steve. There wasn't no grip in the tires there. Could not find the speed, slowed down, and now pretty much his day is done.
Yeah, he's going home, but Mark Green is locked into the show with the misfortune suffered by Parker Kligerman and that Penske team.
But Kevin Hamlin is watching anxiously as we see Chase Austin in this 58 car. I don't think Chase is going to get this car in. He does not, so Kevin Hamlin is locked into the show at a 32.96, so you had to run in the 32s. Here's the difference in making or missing this race. Kevin Hamlin ran a 32.961 and made the show. Jeremy Clements ran a 32.966 and goes home 5 1/1000ths of a second. The difference between making the last race of the year and having to wait to February.
Not 5/10ths, not 500ths,
5 1/1000ths. We see that week in and week out, actually, in all the series.
Let's take a look at the starting grid for this afternoon's race, brought to you by Copart.
I hate to say it, but it looks like the first 4 rows is the start of tomorrow's race almost.
Yes, it
with
does.
Carl Edwards, Ryan Newman up front.
Well, Brendan Gaughan, really the quickest of the Nationwide Series regulars that did not participate in the Cup, and he's trying to win that Rookie of the Year. The battle with Justin Allgaier.
Love to go ahead and get to victory lane, so right now he is going after it pretty hot and heavy.
A couple of our go-or-go homers, Shelby Howard and Paul Menard there.
It's an all Wallace, row 8.
Talk about the great run of Dennis Setzer in the 92 car along with Mark Day right back there on row 11.
Jason Keller, his final ride with this race team on row 15.
Justin Marks in the 10 car alongside Mark Green.
Row 19, a couple of veterans of this series, Joe Nemechek and our buddy Kenny Wallace.
Talked about Kevin Hamlin having to wait till the final car, the final lap, to see if he was going to race later on today.
Jeremy Clements, Chase Austin, John Borneman III, Parker Kligerman, Morgan Shepherd, Eddie McDonald, Jennifer Jo Cobb, Brian Keselowski, and Benny Gordon. Unfortunately, the drivers that will not race here this afternoon.
Well, I tell you what, I know we've got Sprint Cup practice, but guys, I have thoroughly enjoyed doing a lot of the Nationwide Series practice and qualifying shows.
I'm coming to your house Friday.
I'll be there.
You go ahead, go without me. I'll just call you guys from down there in Southwest Texas while I'm deer hunting right there. But hey, this is what we can expect right here the rest of this weekend. A lot of excitement. You never know what's going to happen. But can that guy, Carl Edwards, finish with 2 wins in a row this year?
10th career pole for Carl Edwards. Well, how do you do?
I'm
When we
doing
come
great.
back, John Roberts will wrap up nationwide qualifying.